Hello, and welcome to my presentation on childhood obesity. This class is NU 446 Nursing Research 2, and my name is Joylene Gray. I chose this initial picture because this little boy here is looking at me with this face like, what am I supposed to choose? On the right-hand side, he has some fresh fruit that would be nutritious for his body, and on the left-hand side, he has empty calories in the form of donuts and pastries. And I wanted to shed light on being able to educate kiddos so that they can know how to make wise choices. The problem: over 340 million school-aged children are considered overweight or obese in 2017, according to the World Health Organization. Granted, that is a world view, but here in America, that's 1 in 6 children are considered part of that statistic. Obesity is defined as an individual with a body mass index, or BMI, of greater than 30 and overweight if greater than 25. The BMI is calculated by kilograms divided by height squared in centimeters. So what are the causes? The causes, up until about 4 or 5 years ago, we did not know that genetics was playing a role in childhood obesity, but it is, as well as engineered foods, but aggressive marketing is huge, especially towards the children. All you have to do is watch some children's shows, and they're often filled with negative messages in regards to sugary, non-caloric, or high-calorie, low-nutritious foods. Insulin levels, the hormone that regulates the storage of energy. Certain medications such as diabetes, antidepressants, and antipsychotic medications, which a lot of our students, unfortunately, these days do take antidepressants and antipsychotics. That does play a part. And then leptin. Leptin is a protein, a hormone that tells us when to stop eating, and oftentimes we eat so quickly that the leptin doesn't have a chance to let us know that we're full before we have overeaten. And then food availability and sugar intake. And I added to that family food choices, because if mom and dad go to the grocery store and buy a bunch of food that is non-healthy, the child doesn't really get to have the choices. They're just put in a situation where they have to choose the higher sugar and lower nutrition. Individual food choices, and then financial situations. My family, about 5 years back, had been utilizing the food bank for a while, and I was so saddened because when we would go in there, we would be offered healthy foods, food choices, vegetables, fruits, dairy, that kind of thing, but before we left, we were always encouraged to take home a bag of extra donuts, just because, even if we had already chosen some, just because there's so much of an excess. And so, unfortunately, the junk food that you see in the left-hand picture there, we took a lot of home. When we were in a financial crisis, we were eating more high-calorie, low-nutritious foods. Social and individual psychology and stress levels. I'm sure you all know or are aware that stress eating or comfort eating is something that a lot of us Americans do on a regular basis, which once again adds to those calories. And then low physical activity. The screen time in the second picture there, the screen time that our kiddos spend is tremendous. I know my children go from playing on their tablet to wanting to watch TV to wanting to go, play on their phone or whatever. It is like, put the screens away. And it has to be a constant effort on the parents' part to get them to put the screens away and to go do something active. And more contribute to the excess and unhealthy nutritional choices. So what are the consequences? While the students are in school, the consequences are being bullied, having depression, anxiety, feeling isolated, mental disorders, body pain, and difficulty with physical functioning. And then later in life, the consequences are dire and long list. I've just included a few. Diabetes, cancer, stroke, heart disease, dementia, osteoarthritis, dyslipidemia, low quality of life, and like I said, the list goes on and on. So what is the cost? The estimated annual medical cost of obesity in the United States is $147 billion, but that was in 2008. Of course, there have been an increase between 2008 and 2017 in the number of obese people in America, and that number has not changed. According to the 2017 data, they're still using that 2008 number. So that tells me that no recent research has been done to find out how much is being spent. But I would conclude that it is definitely a larger number than it was in 2008. The balance. So the balance in our bodies is calories in the form of food and beverages, and calories out in the form of body functions and physical activity. And if the in is greater than the out, then we end up with excessive weight gain and obesity. So the recommendations. The recommendations are to limit unhealthy choices and provide healthy choices. It's also recommended that nutrition education opportunities be provided to give children the knowledge needed to choose and consume healthier choices, like I had showed on that initial slide. A school-based physical activity program study found that children that are exposed to school-based physical activity interventions are approximately 3 times more likely to engage in moderate to vigorous physical activity during the school day than those that are not exposed. What can children do? Children can get moving. I've included some pictures there of little ones getting moving and learning to get out and play and grow and just run off that energy. They need to be open to trying new healthy foods and making healthy choices, and then joining health committees. I'll get to that in a little bit. And then teaching their families what they learn about being healthy, and then encouraging their friends. And what can parents do? Parents need to get more involved in their kids' daily activities, buy healthier choices at the grocery store, be a good example when it comes to healthy food choices. That's a big piece too. Parents need to get moving and let their children not only see them exercise, but exercise with them. That photo on the right-hand corner of the mom and the little guy working out together, I thought that was great and awesome. We need to have more of that. And then parents need to understand that the child's health and weight is the parent's responsibility. Oftentimes parents somehow think that the pediatrician is the one who is responsible, even though the pediatrician and the nurses only see those kiddos a couple of times a year often. And so we need to do our part as nurses and the medical profession, but the parents need to step up and take that responsibility on. So my evidence-based practice question was, how can we help nurses feel more comfortable engaging in discussions related to childhood obesity? And I don't know if you thought, but as I was going through that list, you were probably maybe possibly thinking, yes, but it's so hard to start a conversation. My qualitative research found a lot of information that would indicate that nurses feel that way. They feel like if they start a conversation that there's going to be a fight, or that they mother or father would be very offended. They don't want to be told that their child is overweight or obese, or that they are overweight or obese. And so we need to learn how to start that conversation. So what do we need to do? We need to teach the nurses. We need to teach the nurses to understand that obese people are not always lazy or set in their lifestyle. Some really truly want to change, and they just need the right tools and support to do so. We need to teach nurses motivational interviewing skills and provide them with the interventions to engage an entire generation. And then we need to also teach them how to overcome those barriers and implement those tools to help the kids and the families learn the important life skills to decrease childhood obesity in our country and increase their own individual health. So what can we do? We need to learn, we need to take action, and we need to get involved. We need to learn about internal and external obstacles and ways to overcome the barriers. One of the big barriers that kept coming up in my research was time and the ability to, there's so many important health messages we are being told we need to get out, and obesity is just not one of those ones that's high on the list. But with the dire consequences that come with it, it really needs to be on our radar. We need to build rapport and establish relationships and implement programs in our schools that will help change the perspective of health and wellness within the community. And seek out and advocate for legislation, community support, parent-teacher organization involvement, school kitchen staff, recess PE staff, organize wellness committees, organize student-led groups, and organize and teach parenting classes. Just to include this. A lot of this childhood obesity action plays the role of a school nurse. However, any nurse can go volunteer to and or set up a grant and actually get paid to execute programs in our school districts. And it doesn't take a school nurse to be the one who does that. So any nurse can get involved. I personally was a school nurse for a while, and I was able to implement some programs that did address all of these lower areas. We had a PTO organization that was quite involved, and once I presented the situation or the ideas, they ran with them, and it really didn't require a whole lot of my time. Like once a month we met together and in an evening meeting, and I would give them ideas and suggestions, and they would just run with them. We ended up having what was similar to a science fair, where each of the kiddos had gotten a health message, and they researched and made presentation boards out of their information. And then we even had like reward ceremony, and the parents came, and the children were teaching the parents about positive health messages. It was absolutely awesome. And those students teaching their parents and students teaching each other, they are the best change agents. They can get into the mud with their peers in a way that we nurses just can't. So it's really awesome to see their ability to do that. So we're learning, we're taking action, and we're getting involved. We need to learn the skills, exercise motivational interviewing. The base of that is asking open-ended questions, providing affirmations, reflections, and summaries while staying engaged through active listening, exploring the idea of changing a current behavior and possible outcomes in a non-judgmental way, and helping to guide the interviewee to make their own wise choices. Encourage and utilizing role models. This is huge too. Like I said earlier, the parents are a great role model, but in addition to that, football players and pop stars. And at my daughter's school, there's a football player on one side of the gym promoting like 60 minutes of a physical activity a day, and then there's a pop singer on the other side with milk mustache who is supporting healthy choices in nutrition. But also, especially those students need to see teachers and nurses in their schools making healthy choices as well. Healthy children learn better by school nurses, and school nurses can help make it happen. I did have one quote from a little guy in a qualitative study that said that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that if you didn't eat breakfast, how would you focus on things that you're supposed to do during the course of the day? So even though that is just his opinion, it's quite frankly true. That concludes my presentation. Here's my reference list. Click a page. Thank you again for your time. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Have a great day.